thank you so much for attending this workshop. I'm really excited to talk about intermittent fasting. I feel as though I talk about it a lot, and I probably do. And there's a simple reason for that, because I'm a huge fan, and it really has made a big difference to my life. So I see the benefits, I see the difficulties, and I see how I, on a personal level, can overcome them. And of course, backed up with my, my scientific background and the fact that I understand how the body works. I do think this is a great way of eating, and I'm so excited to be able to share that with you today. So in case I have people on this workshop, or even if you're viewing this not live, just a quick introduction about myself. So my name is May Simpkin. I'm a registered nutritionist, and I have been working as a nutritionist, so it would be around 10 years now, where I qualified later on in life. But I started studying because I was interested in eating, I was interested in health, but I got hooked on nutrition until I continued to study until I qualified with a master's back in 2014, a master's in personalized nutrition. And I have been talking nutrition ever since, and I carry on talking about nutrition because I'm absolutely passionate about the power that you can have to eat well and feel well as a result. So today is specifically about intermittent fasting. So what I'm just going to run through very quickly, what we're going to cover, then I'm obviously going to cover it all, and then I have a very special announcement at the end that I would really, hope to be able to, that you're here for, to make sure that you can benefit from it. So in today's session, we are going to cover what is intermittent fasting. I know that there is a lot out there, and it's very difficult to work out, what's fasting, what's an extreme way of eating. And so I'm going to be talking through the options for intermittent fasting. Why should you intermittent fast? What are the benefits? Why is it all the rage? Why am I such a fan? So I'm going to talk about the why. I'm then going to talk about how intermittent fasting could potentially help you with, I'm going to choose two areas, and that's weight loss, because that's a very popular reason that people want to do intermittent fasting. And also something that I've been coming across a lot more lately are people are asking me whether it can help with IBS. So I'm going to be covering that. I'm also going to be talking to you about some basic steps to get you started. I want you to benefit from this workshop. So it's a free workshop, but I really want you to benefit. So if intermittent fasting is something that you are interested in doing, I hope that by attending this free workshop, you are going to get a good idea of the basic steps to get going. So let's get going. What is intermittent fasting? So intermittent fasting is a term used for you restricting your food intake for a certain chunk of the day. So, or a certain day. So I'm going to focus on two particular types of intermittent fasting that I think are the most popular and the ones that we're going to see most often. The first one is the 5-2. So you may not even be aware that the 5-2 is a form of intermittent fasting. It was all the rage a few years ago, sort of books about it, and everyone was talking about the 5-2. And the 5-2 is effectively where you will eat normally for 5 days and then fast for 2 days. Now, when I say eat normally, I do mean eat normally, healthy. When we talk about the fast, it comes down to calories. And on a fasting day for intermittent fasting, on the 5-2 format for intermittent fasting, you need to bring that down to around 500 calories for women, and about 800. It may not even be as high as that. It could be 600 for men. Now, there are two things about that I'm not a fan of. Firstly, if you've been following me for a while, you will probably be aware that I do not count calories. I don't actually know how many calories are in foods. There used to be a time when I was back in my teens and early 20s where, I was very aware of how many calories were in things. But nowadays, I'm not. And obviously, yes, I'm aware that calories in versus calories out does make a difference, but I am more concerned about food groups. And I don't like to see people obsessed about calories, because when you become obsessed about calories, you lose sight of a healthy way of eating, because 1,000 calories of broccoli is not the same as 1,000 calories of Haribo's. And I think that probably explains it in its most simple and fundamental terms. So I also have found from experience that people that practice the 5-2 will eat normally for 5 days and then fast for 2 days. But then if they continue, there is an element of overeating on the 5 days to make up for the 2 days. So I haven't seen that as a sustainable option. And any advice I offer and present is always sustainable and able for you to continue long term. So I'm not a fan of the 5-2. The intermittent fasting format that I am a huge fan of is the 16-8. Now, the 16-8 is basically, it's an umbrella term for you choosing a period of fast in a 24-hour period and an eating window in that 24-hour period as well. All right, so 16-8 is keeping the math simple, and I think it's always great to keep the math simple, certainly when I'm explaining it. But keeping it simple, you will basically be fasting for 16 hours and eating your meals in an 8-hour window. So whether that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or it might be brunch, mid-afternoon and an early dinner, or it might just be 2 meals, it's basically eating the food you're going to eat over a 24-hour period only in an 8-hour period. You might also see this form of fasting referred to as time-restricted eating. And that is also the same thing. So you are restricting your eating window. So that is the format that I work with. For me, it's the healthiest, it's the most achievable, it's practical, and it means that you can fit it in with your lifestyle. So let's just look at a potential 16-8 day. And if we again keep the maths simple, so if we finish eating our dinner at 6 o'clock, that could be early, okay? I know, but I'm keeping the maths simple. So if we keep that simple, 6 o'clock means that we'll go all the way through to 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's your 12 hours. So I have good news for you. The night counts as part of your fasting. All right. So that really is good news because you are asleep for most of that time. So if you go from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock the following morning, you have already secured 12 hours of fasting. Then if you add another 2 to make that 8 o'clock, that's 14 hours. If you do another 2 to 10 o'clock, that's 16 hours. So most people say to me that actually they can do till 10 o'clock. And if you can do till 10 o'clock, then you've got 16 hours of fasting. The research is out there to show the benefits of fasting for 16 to 18 hours that is going to have a positive effect on weight loss. Okay, so it means that if weight loss is your goal, and remember that it is not everybody's goal, but if weight loss is your goal, then the research is out there for 16 to 18 hours of fasting. So it means that you can build up to the 16 hours and then maybe eventually to midday for the 18 hours. Okay, but it's very important to understand that if you have not fasted before, you need to build up. And I also want you to understand that a period of 12 hours fasting is really good. So you are already going to get the benefits. And the benefits are going to be for overall health. And that is the other key factor in intermittent fasting that I really want you to have an understanding of. Intermittent fasting is amazing for your overall health. So why is that? It's basically because we, as a sort of culture and a generation and a new way of eating, have become used to eating nonstop. So we snack. When we're out in the supermarket, we see options that make things appealing to us. So we snack, we grab things, we pick, we're on the run, we don't plan our meals. So we find that we can keep eating throughout the day. Every time you do that, you are playing havoc with your blood sugars. Every time your blood sugars are disrupted, your pancreas has to work quite hard to release insulin to remove those blood sugars to keep you stable. So effectively, if you're snacking all the time, then your body is working all the time to throw out insulin, remove the blood sugars, to digest that food, to release the benefits and nutrients of that food into your bloodstream. So effectively, your body is working non-stop. If it's working on those systems in the body, then it cannot give the same attention to all the other systems in the body. And there is so much else going on in your body. Your hormones need to be dealt with. Your brain function is hampered. So that's when, perhaps you may experience brain fog. You may experience a bit more anxiety because your brain isn't able to fire on all cylinders because everything is diverted to blood sugar balance, to digestion. I'm really simplifying it, but what I'm basically saying, we have a sort of an amount of resources. So what we want to do is send those resources to one area for a short amount of time, and then let your body have those same resources to deal with everything else, to get rid of used up hormones, to make sure that your brain is firing on all cylinders, to start repairing cells, nerves, building muscle, all those things that are all taking place in your body at the same time. If you're having to spread those resources thin, there will be some sort of fallout. Your body is incredible. You will still be able to function and do really well, but you could take it up to another level of functioning and feeling incredible. And that's where intermittent fasting helps, because in your fasting period, your body is saying, thank you very much. I have now dealt with digestion. I've released all the nutrients from all the good food that you're eating. And I now know what to do. And I now can get on with everything else. Very simplified version, but that is effectively what is happening. So that's why intermittent fasting is incredible for overall health. Why does it work for weight loss is another important factor. So I've talked about the insulin release and blood sugar balance. So when you eat sugars, sugars are released into your bloodstream. You can't have thick, gloopy, sticky blood. So your body says, okay, that's fine. I'm going to release insulin and I'm going to remove all that blood sugar. And so you end up feeling very low, a bit agitated, a bit dizzy, maybe a bit lightheaded, and you may then eat something. When you eat something sugary, usually it's because you've had a craving, a message that's sending up to your brain saying eat, but not just eat anything, eat sugar. So that's when you might grab for a biscuit or, a coffee or a brownie or something like that. And I say coffee because coffee has the same effect as eating sugar because it's a stimulant and your body then releases sugar into your bloodstream. So because you get that extra boost of sugar, your body then releases more insulin. But the reason that we need sugar is for energy. So if we're constantly eating and constantly releasing sugar into the bloodstream, we're never having to use up the reserves which come from fat, because we're constantly giving our body sugar to use for energy. If we stop constantly giving our body sugar, i.e. during that fasting period, there will be no need for an insulin response. So your body's going to say, well, hang on a minute, where am I going to get my energy from? Because you need energy. Even just sitting down, watching this webinar now, you are using up energy. Obviously, if you're running a marathon, or you're cycling or exercising, you need more energy. But in general, you do need energy. And if you're not getting it from the diet during the fasting period, your body is going to have to go to the reserves, which is the fat. It's going to release fat from the stores, convert it to energy, glucose. You will then use that glucose for energy. So what has happened, because you have you've released fat from the stores, is that you have lost weight. So that is how intermittent fasting helps with weight loss. And it's a very powerful weight loss tool. Okay, and I really don't want you to lose sight of that. In my opinion, it's the most effective weight loss tool. It works. If you want to lose weight, intermittent fast and be selective about what you eat at meal times. Okay, it's still calories in versus calories out, but you have an added boost because you're fasting, because your body is not going through that blood sugar balance and all of that. And then if you are also monitoring what you eat, when you eat, weight loss will take place. All right. So I'm really categoric about that. And that's, you know, the science is there. And also on an anecdotal, personal level, I know it works. And I really want to share that with you. Now, when it comes to IBS, so many people say to me, will it help IBS? Now, there isn't scientific evidence to say that it is the fasting itself that is helping with IBS symptoms. But remember, I was saying that when you are fasting, your body has all the resources to basically divert elsewhere. And diverting elsewhere is quite often the gut, the digestive system, because that's not in use all the time, because you're not eating all the time. During the fasting period, the gut lining has a chance to recover and repair. The reason we get IBS symptoms is because of the foods that we're eating, and that there is damage to the gut lining. It is that damage that causes an unhealthy, inefficient digestive system, which is why you get cramps or bloating or wind or gas. And the pain will come from a damaged gut. So by giving your gut that 16 hours, even 12 or 14 hours rest, with no food, no stomach acids being released, no enzymes, no digestion taking place, then that gut has a chance to recover and repair. And over time, that has a positive effect. It then means, imagine this, if you do suffer from IBS, it then means you can eat anything and you will not get the IBS symptoms. And I see this a lot with clients. So people come to me and they say, I don't eat this, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat gluten, I don't eat this, or I avoid that, I avoid that. So my first question is, are you allergic? And 99% of the time they are not allergic. But what it is that the environment that food is coming into is not robust. And that's why they're getting the symptoms. So I believe it can help improve the health of your gut, and that will have a positive effect on your IBS symptoms. Okay, so I hope that has now given you an overview of intermittent fasting, what it is, and the type of intermittent fasting. So now let me just give you some basic steps to get going with if this is something that you want to start. So the first thing you need to do is decide on a fasting schedule, okay? Look at your lifestyle. One of the reasons that intermittent fasting works is you do not have to be rigid with your timings. If you're a creature of habit and you eat dinner at exactly the same amount of time, same time every day, and you finish at the same time, it's going to be easy for you. Okay. But if you're not, and you're out most evenings, whether it's work functions, whether you've got an active social life, whatever it is. The nice thing about intermittent fasting is that you can start your fasting period after the last mouthful of food has gone in. All right. So if you are out for dinner and you don't finish eating until 10 o'clock, well, you just do the maths and you start your fasting from 10 o'clock. If you've got an early night and you've eaten with the kids and you finish dinner at 6 o'clock, you start your fasting then. Of course, the earlier you start your fasting, the earlier you can then eat the following day. So it's a really nice, flexible way for you to make sure you can incorporate. So there's no then question of, I've broken it, I've blown it, this isn't working. Actually, there's no element of blowing it, because you just start your fasting period from when the last mouthful. Most people struggle with not eating anything after dinner. So whether that's snacking, the glass of wine, the crisps, the nuts, anything that you just pick at after dinner. Once dinner is over, kitchen is closed, that's it. Nothing else. So that's where I know that many people struggle. You can gradually ease into it. I've already alluded to that. Please, please don't think you have to go straight to 18 hours of fasting. So I personally do fast for that amount of time. And in fact, right now, this is a herbal tea that I'm drinking because I still haven't eaten anything that will break the fast. Okay, so it means that in the mornings, and actually I struggled with this mostly, my milk in tea and coffee. But now it's not an issue. In my eating window, I will have a cappuccino and I will have tea with milk in the afternoon because that's in my eating window. All right. So that's another thing. So gradually you start, because remember, this is going to be a way of eating for you. This is not a diet. I am never on a diet, but I do intermittent fast every day. It's just my way of eating. And if there's a time where I don't intermittent fast because I'm socializing or I'm with, the circumstances don't allow, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I will eat. And then just the following day, I'm just back on, So please don't think that this is a diet that you've blown. It's a way of eating. So I want you to build up slowly to it. So it really is a natural and comfortable way of eating for you. All right. And it's very easy to do that over time. Now, the key thing here is when you eat, you choose the right foods. Now, I cannot stress that enough, not only from a health perspective. So obviously, you need to eat healthy. I'm a nutritionist and I'm never going to say anything other than that. Okay. There is no room for, refined sugars, refined carbohydrates, processed foods with a lot of additives, etc., etc. But this is not what this is about. The reason you need to choose your meals very carefully is that it's the only way you are going to be satiated and your body is going to get all the nutrients it needs in that shorter eating window. All right. You've got to be more selective. You've got to think more carefully, because what you can't do is end up nutrient deficient because you are not eating well. All right. So you've got to be deliberate. You've got to choose healthy proteins, complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and really minimize the sugar, in those meals. Refined sugar, I'm talking about. Now, in the fasting period, you need to stay hydrated. Okay. So water, black coffee, black tea, herbal teas are all absolutely fine. Anything with calories in is not. Question I often get asked are artificial sweeteners. Now, in theory, artificial sweeteners have no calories, so therefore it is allowed. However, there is strong evidence to suggest that your body reacts in the same way as it would if you had eaten sugar. In other words, that blood sugar response is kicked off, insulin is released, and you start messing up your blood sugar balance. So I'm not a fan of artificial sweeteners, and I would really urge you to start weaning yourself off them if you do have them. They are made in a lab, they are chemical, there are more natural ones, yes, stevia and, xylitol, but then you have the issue that actually your body is still reacting in a similar way. So I just want you to be really aware of that, but you must stay hydrated. So keep drinking herbal teas, water, black coffee, black tea, but with no milk, okay? The other thing is you've got to monitor your progress. So you've got to see where you are to start with, do some measurements, weigh yourself. Are you losing weight when you do this way of eating? Is that working? So you've got to keep it, you've got to track, you've got to keep a record. You've also got to know how you feel. So how do you feel fasting for 12 hours, 14, 16, 18? What did you eat that meant you could carry on to do that? How did that make you feel? To start with, I really need to really feel that you're guiding yourself. This is not just a haphazard way of eating. You've got to really think about what it's doing. Now, I just eat. I eat normally. My choices suit me, but I've worked on it. I know what to eat. I know how to eat. I don't waste eating meals in the eating window. And that's really important. So I need you to remember that intermittent fasting is not for everybody. And that's important to know. So I want to introduce you to a new challenge that I have. If you want to get going with intermittent fasting, I will be running a guided intermittent fasting challenge. I have successfully run these challenges 2 or 3 times in the past, and the feedback has been incredible. And most people who started that, like me, eat that way and haven't looked back. I would love to be able to guide you over 10 days, because I really believe that after 10 days, you will be on track. You will know what you're doing. Over the 10 days, we will talk about how to build your plate for weight loss. So what do you actually put on your plate? The different food groups you should be eating on the challenge and why. How to ensure you're not hungry. How to deal with that 4 o'clock slump. Is snacking okay? How does exercise fit in with intermittent fasting? What's allowed, what isn't allowed, etc., etc., etc. There's so much that can make this the most effective health tool, I believe, is out there. So the challenge will basically be 6 days of teaching, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of one week, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the following week, starting 6th of March. I will be sending you details. I will be doing a live clinic like this for half an hour on those 6 days. And that's where I will be teaching. And you will have an opportunity to come back to me with, this isn't working, that isn't working, this is great, that isn't. So they are live sessions with Q&A. Obviously, they will be recorded and I will be sending them out immediately afterwards. So you will have an opportunity to watch it that day. But I'm also offering a personalized session in this. So I want this to work from you. So I will be diarising a 45-minute personalized consultation with you. This is one-to-one, where we'll drill down into your lifestyle, your health goals, your health conditions, anything that I need to factor in. So you will be getting a personalized consultation as part of this challenge, which will be diarized separately. You will receive an accountability tracker. You will have ongoing support from me. So really, I'm saying to you, let me get you going for 10 days safely and healthily. And then you will have me after that for any other issues. I normally charge £375 for my 6-week health improvement program. I'm fast tracking this to 10 days where you have my undivided attention for those 10 days. You can come back to me, email me, call me, whatever. And until midnight tomorrow, that is £250. So basically, I'm saying I'm taking off 125 because I want to really ensure that you get going on this safely and effectively. Okay, so I'm conscious that we are at 1:30. I just want to look at the one question. There was one question: intermittent fasting is meant to be practiced daily or permanently? In my opinion, yes. Okay, and that's because it's a very practical way of eating, because you will feel the benefits. You will literally be firing on all cylinders. You will feel incredible. And when you don't eat like that, you're going to notice the difference. And honestly, that's the best encouragement for you to say, well, actually, why am I not eating like that? I just feel better if I hold out, get my fasting period, and then eat great food in the eating window. All right, so I hope that answers. Any questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves or pop it into the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. Yes, Trisha.
I've got some more of those, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, would you mind muting if you're not asking a question?
I lay down to read my book and I can feel it coming out.
Sorry, excuse me, whoever. Trisha, go ahead.
All right. You said it's not for everybody. Who is it not for?
Okay, so we do need to factor in health conditions. So if you struggle with managing your energy levels, if you have, sorry, if you don't mind, somebody's not on mute. Would you mind muting yourself, whoever is not on mute? Let me do, there we go. I think I've done that now. Sorry, whoever that was. If you have any issues with managing your energy, if you have issues where you have to keep eating because you are not managing your energy levels throughout the day, we need to talk. All right. So I wouldn't want anybody to end up feeling anxious, jittery, lightheaded, all of those things, which is why we need to safely guide you to building up to it. All right. And which is why I said 12 hours of fasting is great. 10 hours is great if you just use the night and don't eat and snack in the evening. All right. And then you gauge. And this is why I want you to track and monitor how you feel. And I want to help you monitor that as well, because I know what to look out for. And I know how to build it up slowly. This is not a dangerous way of eating. Let me just say that to you. Okay. It's not dangerous at all. It's actually the way we naturally used to eat many moons ago when we ate 3 meals a day. So, we're basically going back to that. So another question, I have been eating between 10 and 6 for nearly a year now, for 6 days, and it's made a huge difference. Of course, making sure it's good, non-processed. Fantastic. I love hearing that, because I also feel it's made a huge difference to me. So, it really is a way of, when you go on holiday and you've overeaten, maybe you've put on a few pounds, this is a brilliant way to just get back on track without going on an extreme diet. Or, what you do is you just really consider what you eat, when you eat, so that you're not overeating. And if you're not bothered about weight loss, which hopefully, for most people that will be the case, then you just eat normally. You don't need to watch food groups, proportions of foods on your plate. And that is all something that I will be discussing during the challenge and guiding you and teaching you more about, because getting those food choices right is key. So I really love the fact that, we've got a comment there that's saying making sure it's non-processed foods really, really is a game changer. And I know that's obvious, but I think people sometimes don't realize what is processed and what is a whole food. And again, that's something that I spend a lot of time doing. So you will have an email that has winged its way over to you, despite the fact that I am speaking to you. So it's got all the details there. You've got time to decide. The reason I put a little bit of time sensitivity on it is I know from experience, if it's something that you're interested in, take that leap of faith, talk to me, email me, call me, text me, whatever, if you're a little bit anxious, but take that leap of faith and let's get you going with it, because honestly, you won't look back once you've mastered this way of eating. It's not a diet. It's a way of eating, and it's easy to fit into family life, work life, social life, anything. So I hope that helps. Any other questions? I'm available. So I know if you've obviously, you know, we've gone over, but I'm not going anywhere. So feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, anybody else want to ask anything?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining live. It's really lovely to see faces on the screen. So, but you know, all know how to get hold of me, and please feel free to. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you on that challenge that starts Monday, the 6th of March. So in a couple of weeks' time. Okay.
Is there an Instagram page or Facebook page to follow you?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, May Simpkin Nutrition.
Do you mind to write it in the chat?
I will. Thank
Please.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May Simpkin Nutrition. That's my Instagram. So yes, please do follow me there. Thank you for the compliment for my kitchen as well. It's a new kitchen, so I do a lot in here, a lot of cooking workshops and all sorts. So thank you for that. It's really kind. Okay, lovely to see you. Have a great afternoon. Thank you again for joining. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.